A very good morning to Madam Charlene. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Kavemugila from the School of Technology Industry, a first-year student, and also from Group 17 for LSP 402 as well. Today, before I like to present, I would like to share about my topic. My topic is regarding living with color blindness. If you don't have color blindness, take a moment to think about the daily tasks that rely on color recognitions for ease of completion. How does a red-green color blindness person tell when their steak is even cooked? How much extra thought is involved driving for a person with protanopia, someone who cannot see red, who sees the red traffic light as either darkness or pretty much as the same as the green ones. With more than 7% of males affected by color blindness in some way, it's high likely that someone important in our lives might also be affected. So there are some things to be aware when we are with those people, so that we could try to make a big difference to them by easing their frustration little if we could understand what color blindness can be actually be. First, let's talk about the challenges of being color blindness in daily life. First of all, cooking can be a frustrating experience for a colorblind individual. For example, telling when the meat is cooked can be next to impossible for a red-green colorblind person of even a minor degree. Differentiating between ripe tomatoes and unripened tomatoes, between the green ones, can also be as tricky as possible for them. They can't be also identifying any other ripeness in many other food produce as well. If you're not colorblindness, but in a situation where such a person may be cooking with or will be cooking for you, make sure and try to remember to ease their frustration, mostly by offering information on how well cooked the meat is, and perhaps even fetch the right tomatoes for them from the fridge. It can make a world of difference to the inner frustration of colorblind people to feel in this situation as well. Secondly, the other challenges that a colorblind person might also experience is during their education period. For example, choosing colors correctly can be a very challenging situation for those colorblind students. In primary schools, a child will often find themselves coloring in, painting, or otherwise involved in various forms of arts as well. It is essential as a parent or teacher to understand that some children with color blindness simply they cannot tell they are coloring in water as purple instead of blue. Being put down by teachers or mocked by the persons can be psychologically damaging to young children, and everything should be done to prevent colorblindness children from losing their self-esteem. In secondary schools, teens may find themselves in science attempting to identify a chemical reaction, for instance, or determine a scientific litmus test outcome. As luck, we would have litmus results often displayed as varying shades of purples and greens compared against a reference chart of colors, a recipe for impossibility for most colorblind people. So definitely during these science experiments or situations, they could not be able to even read the outcome of a litmus paper as well. Next, driving are also a very challenging situation for those who are suffering from color blindness. This is because most colorblind individuals can identify between the red and green lights used in modern traffic lights, but there are those who still can't identify, will usually come to the logical conclusion that they need to check which position of the tree of lights is lit. For example, red for stop is at that no matter what color it looks like, they will tend to stop or move. Studies have found that colorblindness people do have an overrepresentation in the category of drivers where traffic and hazards lights were involved in the cause of accident as well. Colorblindness individuals also faces a lot of difficulties in their career choices. Colorblindness can affect access to education, exams, grades, and career choice. For example, in Japan, those who are suffering from color blindness are excluded from a number of careers, and also in some other communist countries as well. For instance, the arts. Color blindness can make some jobs difficult and others impossible for definitely. For example, working with fashion and art can be extremely difficult as they will be unable to differentiate between some other colors, and they will be required to work with as an everyday part of their job. Likewise, jobs as interior design can be also quite challenging for them, as they might have the difficulties in choosing the color of the paints, for example. Other than not be able to work in the career of arts, some with color blindness would also have to sacrifice their ambition of entering the military and planes as well. Also, for example, flying for the Air Force is out of reach for even mildly colorblind people. There are some jobs that actually you will not be allowed to have it. Some forms of engineering also do require the ability to work with colored wiring, for instance, and in certain situations the ability to actually differentiate the wires instantly without the assistance is in a critical situation. When talking about planes and military, if you are suspected or you are a colorblind person, your options are severely limited. You actually won't be able to get to be a pilot, a co-pilot, or anything interesting as well. There are only a way for a colorblind person will get a job flying for the defense force is by sitting at the back of the plane. Thankfully, the civilian flying laws are much more relaxed. It is even possible to be a carrier pilot flying commercial aircrafts if you are colorblind. If flying is your passion, then there are ways to live your dreams actually. But you need to understand that your options are limited, and at the same point in time, there's nothing to be done about that. There's nothing actually you can do at that moment. In conclusion, color blindness is actually not a gender blind, but in fact it is much more common among men. It affects 1 in every 12 males in this country, but less than 1 in 200 females. For example, Facebook is blue because its founder Mark Zuckerberg suffers from red-green color blindness. Yet this can be a great lesson for a great lesson out there to those with color blindness, that this disease is actually not a full stop for success. There is actually a lot more things that the color blindness people can do. It's just that it's all your effort and how much you try to put in order to bring your life into a successful person. That's all. Thank you so much.